Renowned actor, producer and co-founder of Ferguson Film Productions company, Shona Ferguson, passed away on Friday afternoon due to COVID-19 complications after at least 2 weeks in hospital. Shona has worked on several South African television shows such as Scandal, Generations, Isidingo, before building a production house with his wife Connie Ferguson. They created shows such as The Queen, The Wild, Kings of Jozi and others, many of which featured legendary actor Sello Maake Ka Ncube. He joins us now as a colleague and friend of Shona's to pay tribute to the industry giant. Ntate Siro, thank you so much for speaking to us. The industry has lost an incredible contributor, but you've also lost a friend.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And, my heart just sank, when I heard the news. In fact, I've been conversing with Constance. I'm so used to calling her Constance, with Connie, throughout the week. Giving her some strength because Shona was in hospital, and and when I got the news yesterday, my heart just sank. And, my loss and my condolences to Constance and, the kids and the family. I know it is a huge loss for them. It is a huge, we may feel the loss, but for her, she has lost a life partner, business partner, friend, everything, and it's going to be a hard one for her. It is a hard one for her. And, I don't know. I'm actually short for words, Hugo.
I know that you certainly, Connie and Shona, go back a long way. Can you tell us how you became acquainted?
Look, with Connie, basically it started with Generations, and then Shona, in fact, I was at their wedding in 2000, just before I left to do The Lion King in the UK. And when I came back, doing The Lion King in 2007, then, I met with Shona on the set of Scandal. And that's where we really started our acquaintance and our friendship, and, from there on, I think as we were doing Scandal, then, him and Connie got, the Wild gig with Mnet, and I think for me, that move basically was the first step leading to both their meteoric rise, because after the Wild, then I think they formed the company, Ferguson Films, and then Rockville came, and there was no stopping them. And if there's one thing, Shona was a workaholic and an astute businessman. Some of us, we have the bone of acting, but Shona didn't just have the bone of acting. He was also a very good businessman.
Now, one of the things that is obviously clear is that he was a visionary. One of his last tweets was about Ferguson Films and how it was going to impact the film industry, particularly when it comes to young people and equipping them with the skills that they need for that industry.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I remember because just before, I actually went back, for a little short stint on The Queen, for the introduction of a new character. And when I was there, we were talking about a whole range of things and he was telling me about a whole range of things that he was going to be doing. Part of that, it was his, like he was saying, and I need to, I need to introduce you to some people at Netflix, and he was that kind of a person, at best he was, he had such an open heart. And I think that open heart and coupled with his work ethic, just basically embraced the whole country. And I guess, and he was now getting, embracing the whole continent and going to be hitting the world in a very, 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 very powerful way.
Now let's talk a little bit about his impact, not just on the film industry, but on regular citizens and fans of South Africa. Certainly as a power couple, they were affectionate wherever you saw them, the stuff we saw on social media. They were in business together. Now, How big were they, certainly, as role models?
Look, I mean, that is just, was just there for everybody to see, and I used to, I used to, when we have our little, private conversations, I said, Shona, you, my brother, you are a marathon runner. I've been a sprinter as far as relationships are concerned, and we'll just take the make out of that. But, as for him and Constance being role model and even like they were very open to display their affection to everybody. But as a couple, and that's why I say, man, my heart just really goes to Connie, because a part of him, of a part of her, she has lost a part of her. And now having to go through life without that part is going to take some time for her to, to get back to herself and, and begin to live. I mean, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say, but my heart really just goes to Connie, And also even the daughters. Death is not a nice thing, and somehow even when we think of it, we always, think of, I guess maybe how the world is, but people who really feel it even more are those who are close to that person, because that vacuum in the house, in the family, is not going to be easily filled. I mean, I just lost my mother and my younger brother also to COVID complications. You know what I mean? And, and this is just recent. And I remember the other day when I went home to my mom's house, and just knowing that I'm not going to be able to speak to her, was, I mean, the blow of her death basically hit me again, But I think as far as, the family is concerned, I just say, they could only, all they need to do is put all in the hands and in the grace of God, and let God carry them through this difficult period. And I think also one thing that needs to be emphasized even more strongly, COVID is real, and we cannot afford to be, I think, what they call it, COVID fatigue. You know what I mean? We really need to follow the protocols, observe like these protocols, wash our hands, sanitize all the time, mask all the time. But if there's one thing, the industry has lost a very, very powerful person, a visionary, somebody who was actually hell-bent on making sure that his impact, his contribution to life should be, be seen and be felt.
Tadisiro, you've obviously known Shona as an actor. What role of his comes to mind when you think about, one of his top performances?
I think, when we were working basically on Scandal, because there we were really working, I mean, we worked for a long time, together there, and I think his role on Scandal basically like stand up most because I really had very close interactions with him as an actor. And like I say, his work ethic was just out of this world. Disciplined, very respectful, respecting the craft, respecting the space that we were working in. And always, he was the kind of person that never had, I don't know how to call enna with anybody, He would never basically just have conflicts with anybody. He was always pleasant. But, well, I guess when it comes to business, you can't just be a pleasant person all the time. You know what I mean? But as a person, he was a very amenable and pleasant person.
Now, he obviously leaves behind an incredible legacy. How do you see that legacy being carried forward?
Look, it is going, Constance now is going to be having to, carry this whole thing by herself. But I think the daughters are there and they've been working very closely with them. And I think for me, and also I know that if we were talking, we were talking with Constance at one point, I think earlier last month, that they were going to be, I think, launching their foundation, and was telling, hey, Nabuti, you've got to be there, know. And yes, and that, I mean, through the foundation and through the production house, that is basically how they're going to, this legacy is going to be carried. And I mean, the work, the still there, and I think there were some other productions that he was actually working on, and I guess that, is going to be carried forward, and his name will live on. And when you consider that, I mean, all these things, I mean, all the productions that he has done, they are filmed, they're there, that legacy is going to carry on. And I guess, me, being closer to Connie, one way or the other, we're going to find ways on how to keep his name alive.
Now, before we let you go, the industry is obviously reeling under the COVID challenges that everybody is going through. Words of wisdom to obviously those that are very young in the industries and that are trying to make it, or basically trying to keep afloat.
Well, what Shona basically exhibited was a work ethic. Sometimes young people today think that it is all about just getting the followers, and they don't realize that it is the work that you put up that basically gives you, the follow-up. One of the things I think that, I'm looking at the screen, and then, your side is a fingerprint. People tend to think that, you hear young people saying, I'm still working on my brand, and I'm still working on my brand. But what people don't realize is that your brand was formed long before you even knew that you were a brand. Because from the moment that your father's sperm meets with your mother's egg, that's when the brand is formed. And, and that is actually made even evident, to these days, because when you go to the bank, they no longer trust your signature, and I remember when we were growing up, we used to laugh at people who couldn't write, and maybe when they had to sign, they had to put a fingerprint. So what is very clear is that your fingerprint is a mark of your brand. Nobody has the same fingerprint as you have. So if you want to think of yourself as a brand, you already are. But what makes that is the work that is behind that brand.
Sello, thank you so much for your time this morning. And obviously, sincerest condolences on the passing of your mother and your brother recently.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hugo. And